right, Cane fans, welcome. It is another Tuesday night. Welcome to another edition of Cafecito and Canes. Thank you for joining me. Rob Dukes mentioning, probably talking about Amarius Mims deciding to stay with Georgia. So there's that. And hey, as long as he doesn't go to FSU, I'm good. You probably noticed the slight change in wardrobe this time. Yes, my boys immediately to my right, I got them on the TV. The Heat are in game 2 against the Atlanta Hawks, dominated game 1, and so I'm keeping a close eye on that. It's tied 15-all right now. What's up, everybody? Philly Kane, Supreme Goon, the Degenerates, welcome as always. Let the chat start to fill up. As you guys know, we got some good guests lined up. Well, not good. I should say great guests lined up for tonight. You got the boys from the UTalk show. You got Devin, and he's bringing in a couple of his friends. I've been a fan of the show for a while. We got connected a couple years back, with Flo and everything. And he's really taken off with his channel. So it'll be cool to have him on. Love his energy. His callers during his show are fantastic. If you haven't listened to his show, I'm sure most of you guys have. If you're listening to mine, you probably listen to his. But we're going to talk some spring. We're going to talk some, where we think the team is at right now. Now that spring is over, we're going into the dog days of summer. And we got, 137 days until the season starts, 130, 136, something like that. But either way, the season, before we know it, like that, it's going to be here. So what do we got? After marinating on the spring game for a little bit, let me just tell you this. I'm still happy with overall us looking better in certain areas fundamentally. I was a little bit underwhelmed by the lack of playmaking at wide receiver. I don't think it's also a small sample size of half of a spring game. I say half of a spring game because the second half, there was no tackling. They weren't tackling to the ground. And in the fourth quarter, let's be honest, it was mainly backups playing. So it wasn't the biggest sample size. Could Frank Latson come out and have a 1,000-yard season this year? He can, absolutely. If the spring game is indicative of anything, I don't know if he will, but again, that was just the spring game. There was some issues with drops with the receiving core throughout spring. Hopefully they can get that fixed. They'll probably bring in another guy or two in the portal because I see 1 or 2 or maybe 3 guys lead it. Let's see what Studio One says. I just watched Texas A&M spring game and their QB running all over their defense compared to our spring to the rest of Bama, including I'm good. Listen, if you told me, and I'll ask the guys this when they come on, if you told me that if you had the roster from last year, let's say you give me the same exact team as last year, but you told me instead of the tackling being dead last in the country, the tackling's all right. The tackling is like middle of the pack. And run blocking, instead of being, I would imagine, close to dead last and running the ball, we're like middle of the pack. You give me that, I would say our 7-3 record just became 9-3. Just fixing those 2 things. And I've been saying that for a long time. You fix the fundamentals, that makes a huge difference. Flo said it on Sunday. Boring football wins championships. I 100% agree with that. If we can run the ball down people's throats, we're going to win a lot of football games. It might not be the most exciting brand of football, but I'd be fine with it. You're right. We won 2 more of those games exactly. Yeah. John, is Cheney healthy? I don't know exactly where Cheney's at the moment. I would imagine he should be good to play once the season starts because you would imagine he's been given enough time by then. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. That's another thing I want to discuss. I'm glad you brought that up, Les. That's another thing I want to discuss with my guests later. Where does Cheney land Excuse me, let me turn the fan on. It's hot in here. Where does Cheney land on this depth chart with the running backs? Because Thad Franklin looks like he's ready to carry the load. Maybe not the entire load. I think Rooster's still your starter, but I think Rooster's going to be the lightning to Thad Franklin's thunder, and I think that's going to be a nice little two-headed monster at running back. Plus, you got Henry Parish Jr., who I thought had a very solid spring. He's a nice receiver out of the backfield. He does everything very well, except having, elite speed, which I knew after following his high school career, he didn't have elite speed. What he has is great vision, great cutting ability. Reminds me of a slightly quicker, a little bit more athletic version of Joe Yerby. That's basically what Henry Parish reminds me of, a little more versatile. Checks all the boxes except elite game-breaking speed. And that's why he wasn't a starter. But he provides depth. He's experienced. He's good out of the backfield. He's a tough runner. I know he was a little nicked up in the spring game. Hopefully that's not anything serious. It didn't look like it was. He got off under his own power. Maryland D tackle visiting this weekend. Georgia D lineman in the portal. The portal's going to get cooking here real soon. I mean, it already has. Can't wait till Citizen gets on campus. And that's another one that you're going to have for the season. Trevante Citizen, you're going to have a hard time getting that dude off the field. This kind of reminds me of when we had 10, 11 years ago. You had Lamar Miller. You had Mike James. You were about to bring in Duke Johnson. And, you also had Storm Johnson, who, for whatever reason, couldn't find the field until one day they put him in, has a monster game, and then I think ends up transferring. So hopefully they don't waste a guy like Citizen. Hopefully he gets his opportunity. Hope it's not because of injury or anything. But hope he's patient and waits his turn, because when his turn comes, he's the starter for 2 full seasons. All right, looks like our first guest has arrived. Give me 1 second. Let me bring him in. Mr. Devin.
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing, John? What's going on?
What's going on, man? It's good to see you. It's been a while.
Man, it's been a minute, man. How you been, brother? How you been?
It's been good, man. I've always said you have probably the best background of all the YouTubers. You have at least
I don't know. Hey, you got to see George Diaz's background as well, man. He got a nice one too.
Yeah, he's coming on too, right?
Yes, sir. He's going to be on here in about 20 minutes. I think Larry Frank will be joining us in about 5 minutes. He told me he was about to come in the studio as well.
Sweet.
I want to say thank you for inviting my platform to your station, man. Shout out to all of you guys, Cafe Cito and CANES. Shout out to John, my guy. Appreciate you guys for having us on.
Yeah, no problem, man. I remember I met you. I was telling people I met you through Flow. Man, it's close to like 2 years ago now. I had a little baby channel. I was just starting. You had a channel for a little bit, but you've grown a lot since then.
Yeah, it's the people show for a reason. Like I say, I was a fan. I used to watch Footballville, Streeter, and shout out to Streeter, shout out to X, shout out to Coach Hayes and Lonzo. I used to watch all of those guys, man, and I'm a fan just like everybody else, and I wanted to start my station to where we can throw a question out there and ask the people, what they thought, and give everybody the opportunity to chime in. So I thank everybody for the support. It's been pretty good.
Yeah, I think your co-host has just joined the stream. Let me bring him on. Larry Frank Jr. Welcome, sir.
Gentlemen, how y'all doing? How am I sounding? I had to kind of rush up and put everything together. Everything good?
You sound great, man.
Okay, good. How y'all doing?
Good, brother. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. It's a busy period right now in my life, but I'm no complaints. I'm doing good.
Yeah, man. Tell because I know you got a little something like your own show going on. I think I caught a couple of episodes ago on the UTalk show. Or did you start like your own podcast or something? It was like on Monday nights or something like that.
No, it's just me and Devin. And we what we do is we'll do like Miami Hurricane topics on Friday nights. Well, our Mondays during the season is football and all of that, but in the off season we try to branch it off into other stuff beyond sports. So yeah. Right.
Gotcha. All right, cool, man. So let's see what we got here. So guys, first topic real quick. Obviously Amarius Mims finally chose his destination. He chose to stay in Georgia. What was your reaction to that? Were you guys surprised by that? Start with you, Devin.
I wasn't. We spoke about this on the show on Friday night. And it's like I was telling George Diaz. I was surprised that I didn't even know why he was transferring in the first place. So they were saying Florida State. I knew he wasn't going to Florida State. I didn't think we had a shot at it. So, it did surprise me, bro.
Yeah. Larry Frank, what you think about that?
Yeah, he kind of had some mixed reviews when his name first entered that he was a transfer. A lot of talk about his work ethic, his attitude, his character, and all of that. And we had a conversation on Facebook in one of the groups where, you know how Cane fans are just every time somebody's in the portal, oh, we got to get him. Oh, we got to get him. And I was just trying to tell him, like, not every transfer in the portal is a good transfer portal option. And I was hearing that he had a teammate that got killed in an accident. So that's why he went back home. But kind of like what Devin said, I didn't see, Florida State, I didn't see that. Even when they were trying to troll, because I'm in a couple of Cane Knoll groups and we troll each other. And they were acting like they had him. And I'm like, dude, y'all need to understand, recruiting and getting are two different things. So no, I wasn't surprised to hear that he went back either.
Yeah, I wasn't too shocked. Honestly, I'm happy he didn't end up with Florida State.
Absolutely.
Right.
I'm going to be honest. Them getting a talent like that would have made it a little more difficult for us.
We don't need that.
Yeah, to put on him that I'm hoping we put on him, but we'll see what happens in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of which, spring has just come to an end.
Yes.
Now we're getting into the summer. So how do you guys feel, after the spring happened, the spring game has happened? What are your overall feelings? And, we'll start with you, Larry. Like, what are your overall feelings about the team? And did you like what you saw from the spring game? Are you overall happy? Are you more concerned? Are you kind of neutral? You're like, wait and see. What do you think?
For me, the pendulum is more swinging towards liking what I saw. I still got to watch the rest of it because I was busy all weekend. I was able to chime in and catch bits and pieces, and I went back and looked at the highlights. But some of the things that stood out to me was Henry Parish. I mean, kid's just talented. I mean, he can run in between the tackles. He can run off tackle. He can catch out the backfield. You never have enough weapons. Also, Brantley, he looked real solid, at the tight end position, and I think you're going to continue that lineage of great tight ends. People have to remember that Gaddis is coming in here, and he incorporates 2 tight end sets. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing because that gives you more blockers for the run game, and that gives you more weapons for TBD in the passing game. So I like what I saw there. Offensive line, they looked improved from what I saw briefly. They still gave up some sacks, which is going to happen, but overall they looked like they were more fundamentally sound. They were opening up holes, and they were sustaining blocks, which was good. Only downside, obviously, everybody else is talking about it, are the drop passes. And, I think we're more sensitive to that because of what we saw the last couple of years with Pope and Wiggins. We're just tired of drop passes. But a lot of that is youth. I mean, shout out to Restrepo. Restrepo definitely represented. And then as far as the defensive side of the ball, I mean, defensive line looked great. DBs look solid. We're still seeing what we got in linebacker. So overall, I'm happy. I'm happy with everything that I saw. And this is what I think people have to understand, and then I'll turn it over to Devin right quick. People have to understand that you can't make a determination on your team in spring ball. All spring ball is an opportunity to measure what your players are doing and how they react and how they respond to the coaches. You have coaching turnover every year, so that's what you had, and you got to remember, I mean, this is still Manny's team. Mario hasn't brought in any of his guys yet. So that you want to see the response, and thus far the response looked good. So, yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah, no, and you mentioned Mario bringing in his guys. There's a couple of them sprinkled in there. Cyrus Moss,
Yeah.
Joe
Yeah.
Smith, already as true freshmen, they made a couple plays. So
Right.
you see an uptick in talent. So,
Yes.
Devin, what were your overall thoughts?
Oh man, let's start off with just the camaraderie and the brotherhood, which Mario and that staff being on the sidelines, just seeing all of these guys coming back. I mean, being accepted, being welcomed back to the program. I mean, that was the first thing that I saw when I turned the TV on Saturday. You gotta love it, especially when you talk to guys, like the Mel Brands, the Lamar Thomases. They want to see the program get back to how it used to be. And when you watch those interviews with Antrell Road and those guys, it just seems like it's going in the direction that it needs to go. As far as what I saw on the field, I got to agree with Larry Frank. Henry Parish, to me, he just looks good. He looks like an every down back. Um, I like the fact when he got hurt, how he came back in the game in a spring practice.
Yes.
And that just says a lot. That shows leadership. And just like with Restrepo, him just coming off the line, going 100 miles an hour, like on every play, just selling out, just being a leader, and just showing that in that slot position, with Harley being there last year, it's not going to be a drop off. So you're seeing the leadership out of guys, and they're putting a foot forward, trying to come out here and be leaders, and I love that about Restrepo and Parrish from what I've seen so far. Thad Franklin, man, it looked like he done slimmed up a little bit. Thad Franklin, I think he's going to be pretty good. My concern is at wide receiver, and I spoke about this on Friday night. We got to remember, man, when Rambo was there, that's a lot of production that we're going to be missing. Who's going to step up in the place of Rambo outside the numbers? Because we're going to need somebody to replace that production. And I'm just wondering who that's going to be. I mean, I hear Jacoby George, Rashard Smith, Frank Lassie, and I don't know. We got to see who that's going to be. We know we're solid at slot. We're solid at tight end. I like Arroyo. He looked good on Saturday. I still have a concern about the right side of the offensive line. But that's kind of my take on offense. On the defensive side of the ball, Lichtenstein, I thought that he was pretty quick. I like him in the three technique. Um, Lichtenstein looked like he's going to be pretty good, and Leonard Taylor, I thought showed a lot of flashes. I mean, he's just going to be good. I mean, it's no getting around that. Leonard Taylor is going to be a beast, and I would say Al Blaze. Al Blaze looked like he done put on some weight. He looks like a cover corner. I mean, he was just flying around out there. So Avante Williams looked good. So though that was kind of my take of it. I thought that everybody looked pretty good. We'll see when the summertime comes and see how these guys put it together.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, everyone. I'm not one of these guys that was like, oh, they dropped a few classes, replace everybody, get 10 guys in the portal. No, they're shopping around. They're probably going to add one or two guys, maybe. And Jay Stokes brought up a good point. You didn't even have Romello available. So
Right.
Who's to say he doesn't come back in and take over? Who's to say Jacoby doesn't keep developing, maybe get rid of the drops, get rid of that problem? Because that's been an issue throughout spring from what we've heard. Do you guys think again, there's going to be, I think, some movement in that room, but say it's the same exact room. They develop them a little more going into the season. Are you still confident with what we got with us running away with the Coastal? I personally am. I think we have what we need in that regard. But what do you guys think?
I think we definitely can run away with the Coastal. I agree with you. I think with this new coaching staff, I think that they're going to bring an intensity. We remember now last year, the games that we lost, man, we lost the coaching to me, a lot of those games. So I just think that the coaching staff is just going to bring a different type of mentality. And I think that we can get over the hump. I still say we got to beat Clemson. We got to beat North Carolina. But I still think that we can get in the ACC championship game if we handle our business. And I think that the coaching staff, I think that they'll get us in the championship game this year. That's my opinion.
Yeah, top to bottom, this is how I look at it, and to kind of go back to what Devin said. If you look at last year, we finished 7-5, but you lost the Virginia game off of coaching errors. You lost the Florida State game off of coaching errors. You lost North Carolina off some questionable coaching calls. That's 3 losses right there. That's a 10-win season right there. And I can make a case that against Michigan State, if Mallory doesn't drop that touchdown pass, we set the tone and we can kind of really get things going to possibly an 11-win season. So this is how I look at it. I measure, as far as the Coastal is concerned, our coaching staff from top to bottom, our talent from top to bottom, and then I compare that with all the other teams in the Coastal. I want to say like 4 of the teams in the Coastal have new coaches. Virginia Tech.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, Virginia Tech. I think Bronco Mendenhall.
Virginia too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he left Virginia. Duke.
Yep.
And I'm missing somebody, I believe. Maybe it's 3. I can't think, but I know for sure.
You're probably not counting us. Yeah, we're the other one.
yeah. There you go. And then I look at what Mac Brown has left at North Carolina. I mean, listen, his guy's going to the NFL. So he's got a new quarterback. So he'll work with him. But I think top to bottom, our coaching staff trumps the other coaching staffs in the Coastal. I think our talent thus far trumps the other talent. I think you put our offense up against any of those other Coastal defenses, we're going to have no problem scoring. We shouldn't, at least. I think our defense is going to step up enough, and I don't think there's enough firepower. And Georgia Tech, they got a second-year coach. So I don't think there's enough firepower coming from those other teams that can blast our defense. So, and then enter those cross-conference games against Florida State. We should win that game. So and Clemson, I think we have a real good shot because Dabo is really hitting the reset button. Now, Dabo is still Dabo. We still have to respect that. But I think, we win that Coastal. I think we are in the ACC championship. And I think we need to watch what happens over in the Atlantic because who's to say that we're even matching up with Clemson if we get there?
Exactly.
Good point.
Exactly. So I wanted to get to Mitchell's question he was asking earlier. Are we shocked that we have no commitments after the spring game? Even after all those elite guys visited, I'm going to say I'm not super shocked, only because it was so many elite guys and they're not just going to make a decision on a win,
Right.
Their decisions are going to come down to probably December or the actual signing day. I don't know. Are you guys surprised? Are either one of you guys surprised by that, or were you hoping, I was hoping to at least add 1 or 2 to the class?
No, honestly, I wasn't because you're at the point now where it's time to go on the field and show what you have. And it's time to show what kind of product you're putting out there and what you're going to offer. That, in my opinion, is what's going to lure in these top-notch guys that are showing interest because very seldomly, like you said, John, very seldomly is any top-notch stud player going to commit after a spring game. I mean, it's just a spring game, it's just a bona fide scrimmage with a big fan base or whatever that's in the house. I think a lot of stuff will be answered after Texas A&M. Yeah. I think that's the game, with the national coverage. I'm thinking that ESPN is going to have us. I think we'll be the marquee game that weekend, and I think that game will tell a lot. Also, the Clemson game is going to tell a lot, and I think everything will get answered for signing day. But you have to look at what Mario is doing because Mario has only been here for a little over 4 months, and he's hit the ground running. He saved his class. He brought this class from a sub-70 class to a top 15 class. So you give Mario a full recruiting cycle and let him show his product on the field, I'm not worried at all.
1,000%. I mean, really, Clemson, yeah, Dabo's still Dabo. He did lose Brent Venables, I think. That is massive.
Yes.
I think he's still a top 5, top 7 coach in college football.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
To get it right, he's going to have a 10-11 win season, and that's going to be a tough task, going up there and beating them.
Right.
Saw a good question here from Sigmund. He always has good questions. What did you guys think of Devin Perry, that walk-on running back? He surprised me a lot.
I liked it. I thought he ran hard. We're talking about number 42, right?
42 or 46, something like that. Yeah, weird
Something like
number.
that, 42 or 46. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he ran hard. But the running back room is deep, Sigmund. You already know that. And I guess my question is going to be like, what's up with Cheney? Because I've been hearing that he's not healthy. So you want to kind of see where Cheney's going to be once the summer start. It's a deep running back room, but I think it's some room for possibly maybe Thad Franklin. Can maybe get some of them snaps that Cheney's going to get if he's not healthy, because I'm hearing that he's favoring that knee a lot, and he's not ready. So we'll have to see. I mean, depth. I say bring in all the depth you can, man, John, at every position, and let them compete there, Frank. That's what I say.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, we got to look at the Cheney situation like this. He tore his ACL against Appalachian State mid-September. He doesn't have to pull an Adrian Peterson. Okay, he doesn't have to come back and break records and all of that. I mean, we have other running backs. So if I'm Cheney, I would literally just sit, rehab that knee, because he's got his future to think about. And look, I mean, we're going to be okay, because Knighton is going to pick up where he left off. Parish is a nice addition. Thad Franklin is clearly trying to prove that he's more than just a short yardage back. He's slimmed down. He's trying to be a little bit more versatile with the offense. Trevante Citizen is going to come in, and we're going to see what he brings to the table. And that's the thing. I mean, Perry just showed that that running back room is loaded. So, yeah, if I'm Cheney, ACLs are very tough, because not only do you have to get over the physical aspect, mentally you have to get over that barrier, because are you confident in your cutting ability? Are you having second thoughts every time you take a hit? I mean, and look, we saw with De'Aaron King last year. I mean, unofficially, I think he came back too soon off of his injury, because it showed in his gameplay. So, yeah, but I think Perry definitely is a nice wild card that we have. So, yeah, you can incorporate him. Why not? The more the
John,
better.
let me ask you a question, John.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they will redshirt Trevante Citizen?
That's a good question. I'd say if Cheney was healthy and ready to go, probably, yeah. But now that's in question. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't redshirt him, because I was saying right before you guys came on, this reminds me of the situation when you had, I think it was Lamar Miller, Mike James. I think you had another guy in addition to that, and then you had Storm Johnson, like fourth on the depth chart, who was super talented. Never got.
Right.
He got in there for like one game against USF, had a monster game, almost brought us back in that game and saved Coach Shannon's job. I think it was that game, but he just ended up going elsewhere because he didn't get the opportunity here. I hope they don't make the same mistake with Trevante. I kind of hope they don't redshirt him, because you never know. That running back room, you're gonna have little injuries here and there. Just
right.
Being that's the life of a running back. You're hurt all the time, basically. No one's 100%.
Right.
So that's why you out recruit the talent you have. That's what the big programs do. It doesn't matter if you're a senior or a freshman. Okay, if you're the best guy in the room, you're playing, and we're getting to that point with the running back room finally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that. We did that to Gus Edwards. Yeah, he's a beast.
That's
now
a good point, Studio One. Yeah.
Yeah.
That used to drive me nuts when Coach Golden, in my opinion, he did a couple things right. One of them was he was a solid recruiter. But one of the things he was terrible at was Mark Walton would gash a defense for 12 yards. He'd sit him. Irby would come in 10 yards. He'd sit him. Edwards would come in. He'd rotate, like literally carry by carry. He wouldn't just leave a guy in there and let him eat.
Right.
Yep.
Would drive me insane, but whatever. Anyway, so let's see. If I asked you guys, if we fast forward to the fall and let's say we win 9 games, we win the Coastal, we have a solid year, a lot of improvement record-wise, but it's kind of boring. It's not a very explosive offense. We're kind of ramming the ball down people's throats. We're winning ugly. We beat FSU, maybe we even beat Texas A&M, but we're winning really ugly. It's not pretty. Devin, would you be okay with that?
I would be okay if it's like you said. We see progress. We see the team getting better. Not like we've seen the last 3 years where it was the same thing year after year. I just want to see the guys be more physical on defense on both sides of the ball in the trenches. And I'm good with that because, like Larry Frank said, you got to remember, these are not Mario kids, not all of them. Like you say, you got to sprinkle in there a couple of these guys like Basaint and a couple of the guys that he got once he first, came over. But these are not his guys, so you got to give him time. So long as the guys are playing hard and the discipline and the physicality is right, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too because what I'm looking at is I'm looking for a 360-degree turn from last year. I'm looking at the players to be more fundamentally sound. I'm looking for tackles to be fundamentally sound. I'm looking for guys on defense to be in the right places and know where they're supposed to be. I'm looking for the offensive line to improve. This is something we may very well have to expect because we have to remember Josh Gaddis runs a more balanced offensive attack. So you're not going to see those plays where, TVD is airing it out. TVD is not going to have 400 plus yard, 3-4 touchdown games every week. TVD, I think, is going to be called upon to make necessary throws when needed, but I think this offensive line is going to improve, and they're going to go ahead and get this team built to run the football more. And as I said earlier, with the 2 tight end sets, I think you're going to see a lot of tight end play incorporated more. You're going to see a lot of check down plays. You're going to see a lot of plays to the tight end. You're not going to see a lot of, I want to say, explosive plays. Now, you will get them from time to time because when we play teams like Duke and teams that are inferior, we're going to eat. But as far as thinking that this team is going to have like a Baylor type identity under Art Briles a few years ago where they're just lighting it up, no. Or like a Chip Kelly Oregon type thing where they're lighting it up, no. And if they don't, I'm okay with that. I just want to do what it takes to win. So if we're not averaging 37, 38 points on offense, if we're only averaging 28, 29, but we're 11-1, I'm okay with that.
Oh, listen, I'm more than okay with that. I'll take a 1-point win against Florida State. Even, as mediocre as their program is right now, it's better than 4th and 14 and losing to them.
Yes.
Right.
I'll take the 1-point victory as long as we're getting W's. That 2017 season was fun. I mean, we were eking some wins out, but it was fun. We were winning.
It was. Right. Up until the Pitt game. We were, we were the cardiac Canes that year, but up until Pitt. I mean, listen, I was grinding it out. My heart was beating fast. I needed to go to the heart doctor, and I needed to take medication. And look, I don't usually drink, but I even had to sip on a little something from time to time to get my nerves right, But it felt good to be 10-0 and get up to that number 2 ranking in the playoffs before Pitt and Clemson and Wisconsin. Yeah. So I'll take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and we did that with I like him as a person. I thought I loved what he did that season, but Malik Rozier, a quarterback. I mean, look what we got now.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we got a question from Kane Forever. If we do get transfer linebackers, do they start over everyone who has went through the spring? Yeah, I think that's a good question. Larry, do you think, let's say Caleb Johnson, this guy that's rumored to come in from UCLA, he likes Miami. Let's say he comes. Even with factoring in Chase Smith and Wes, who we didn't really see much in the spring, do you think Caleb starts right away?
Not automatically. I think what Mario is doing is getting away from what Manny did, and that is bringing guys in and promising them automatic positions. You're going to have to come in and earn it, and you're going to have to show that you're the best man for that position, the best man for the job. Now, if he comes in and as talented as he is, Chase and everybody else that's already here, they're going to have to step their game up. I think he can come in and contend and take a starting spot. But as far as it being handed to him, listen, those days are over. The only person that I think really has their spot in place going into the season is TVD. Everybody else, in my opinion, with the injuries and seeing how everybody does when we get into the summer and fall camp, all those spots are going to be up for grabs. So, yeah. He'll have to come in and earn it.
Yeah, you agree, Devin?
I do, man. I think Nate Boogie just said he just named the starters. The 3 linebackers, Steve, and Smith and
Yeah.
Flag.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, Basaint is going to play this year, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I'm hearing, Basaint is talented. He's gonna get some reps this year.
Right.
So again, I say bring in as much competition as you can at that position. And if you've been watching my show, you know I've been screaming about this since day one. We haven't had the talent that we're accustomed to having at the University of Miami at the linebacker position, and that is a must position that we have to recruit at. I don't care where you got to get it from, but you got to get it. You got to get that talent in at linebacker. So I mean, if the kid is talented, like you guys say, if he come in there and work, hey, he can come in on day one and score, like Larry Frank said. Competition is going to be there. Mario is going to play the best players. This ain't Manny Diaz's team anymore, y'all.
Right.
Mario is going to play the better player.
Absolutely. And if they come in, weed them out. You know, if they don't want to be here, they don't want to deal with competition. That's what the transfer portal's for.
Right.
Speaking of playing the best guy, Gilbert Fryerson had a really solid spring game. He started to look like his old self again. Looks like he's put on a little weight, some good weight. Please explain to me how he was not starting last year, because I don't see it. Like immediately, Kevin Steele he was one of the first guys he spoke about when Kevin Steele arrived.
Well, I think they're going to go to a more traditional 4-3 this year. Go back to a regular 4-3, and I think that Gilbert has the size, and you can see that his body's transformed. He's gotten bigger from last year. So I'm just trying to see how they're going to put these other three beasts on the field at the same time, because you got to have Williams, Kinchins, and Avonte Williams in there too. You got to find a way to get these guys on the field at the same time. I don't care if you play Williams more in the box. I'm talking about zero, James Williams. But you got to get these kids. You got to put the best talent on the field. But as far as Gilbert Fryerson, I think he's going to be a force this year because he has gotten bigger. I thought that last year, again, Manny was playing people out of position, a lot of kids. I thought, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I agree. I think that situation with Fryerson, I think that was just lack of development and just bad personnel decisions, you know. And, you know, listen, I think T-Rob's hands were kind of tied somewhat last year. Like, he couldn't really do what we thought he could, you know, coming in. You know, Manny just had so much say-so, and I think that messed things up. But it would be real interesting to see, you know, with what he's looking like now, the size he's put on. I want to see the skill set now with Adai and DVD coaching and with Kevin Steele. I want to see that influence. Because we know what we saw before. I want to see the new product. You know, it's kind of like when you take your car to the body shop and have some work done. Well, I know the car has potential to run good. I've dropped it off. Now I want to pick it up and see what kind of work they did to it.
Right.
Yeah, speaking of Coach Adai, let's switch gears there to the secondary. I thought that's another room that has very little holes in it. Maybe not super deep, but you get Cam Kinchins back. All of a sudden, that safety room is, as at least the starters are as good as anybody in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
The corners, I thought they played great in the spring game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was part of the reason the receivers didn't have the best day. I thought Marcus Clark had a nice game. Isaiah Dunson had a nice game. Even BJ Ivy. I was a little surprised by that. Right now, obviously, Tyreek Stevenson, I think, for now, has one spot pretty much locked up for himself. Who do you guys think right now is in the lead for the number 2 spot?
Ooh.
Blades, from what I saw.
Yeah, I was thinking Blades because he's got the body, and I think I always like Blades, and yes, I've said it even on our podcast on UTalk. I'm biased. I mean, he's a Blades. I mean, how can I not be biased towards him? But I felt like he took some steps back. He had some injury issues last year. He regressed a little bit. I think that a healthy Al Blades, you know he has the DNA, you know he has the pedigree, you know he knows the game. All he needs is to get coached up. I'm liking Blades, but to your credit, Ivy, he's an older guy. You know, he came in there and he even showed some signs of that. That's where it's going to get real interesting, you know, in the summer and going into the fall, because I believe I'm with you. Stevenson has one spot locked up. So as of right now, I would hope it's Blades, because if you have Stevenson and Blades and you can figure out how to get the three safeties, and even like you say, if you bring James Williams down to the box, if you have Stevenson, Blades on the outside, you have Kinchins and Avante at the safety position, you drop James Williams down, and you have that production coming off of that line, it's going to be pretty nasty for opposing offenses.
100%. The guy I've liked him since he got here, is Marcus Clark. I thought he was going to start taking a step forward last year.
Mm-hmm.
But what I saw Saturday was what I was expecting from him last year. I think he took a big step forward. And then Isaiah Dunson, I'm like, man, he's been kind of invisible. And then he makes that play in the end zone on Frank Ladson. So it's like, man, like, I don't know what DVD's got, what he's putting in their Gatorade, but it's working.
Right.
Yeah. Or what they're no longer putting in the Gatorade from last year.
Yeah. No, and another thing, Devin, what'd you think? I don't think we touched on this specific. Yeah, like we mentioned the tackling, but like how much better I think they still got a ways to go. I don't think they're elite, but to go from horrendous Saturday, the tackling is vast improvement.
Me and George Diaz was on the phone. He was at the game, and that's all we talked about. I mean, John, you can see it. It just looks totally different. Guys were actually in position to make plays. That was things me and Larry Frank talked about last year. Guys just wasn't in position to make plays. They were in position to make plays, and that's effort. That's coaching. Right. So I love it, man. I love it. I love this coaching staff, man. I mean, you can see that the guys are buying in to what the coaching staff is selling, and that makes me feel good, man.
Absolutely. We've talked to Streeter a couple of times, who's out there, and everybody that's been out there, that they said it's just different. Yep. It's a different approach. Even with the videos that I've seen where they've kind of put some shots of the coaches, you can see the intensity of the coaches. I saw a still shot of Charlie Strong, and I was on Coach Hayes' show the other night. I was watching Coach Hayes, and he was doing the review of the game, and somebody was out of position, or somebody made a tackle, and Charlie Strong was giving them the look of. I used to get those kind of looks when I was like 8 years old, and I wound up doing something I didn't have no business, and my mom and my dad were about to get to me. Like he had that look, like he just. So, and we've heard that previously. They just kind of went out there. They just kind of, kind of sauntered along in practice, two-hand touch, didn't really go hard in practice, and it transferred to the game. I mean, you saw that. So remember what they always said. The old school Canes always said the toughest games were in practice. So that way, when they go out on Saturdays, hey, this is a cakewalk compared to what we did, in practice.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just Manny's staff. I have to go back years in my mind to think of.
Yes.
When was the last time you saw? I mean, I don't think a coach needs to be a yeller, really. I mean, Coach Belichick isn't like that, but
right.
I can't remember the last time a Canes coach, laid into a player after making the same dumb mistake multiple times. I mean, I have to go back to, even though he seemed like he had this nice guy persona, I have to go back to Larry Coker the last time I saw him.
Right.
Yeah. Because Coach Snellenberger was always, Captain Cool with the pipe, and Jimmy was always having fun. Dennis Erickson was always a quiet guy. Butch Davis was always a quiet and serene guy. Coker, had those rants, but then coming into the, the modern day, I mean, Randy Shannon was laid back. Al Golden was laid back. Mark Rick was, it's no fire, and everybody thinks that you have to have a Saban type, It's nice, but you don't necessarily have to have it,
You had a lot of fire under your players sometimes.
Right.
Coach Cristobal, I mean, we all saw the video that went viral of him laying into that one player for the 15-yarder that knocked him out of field goal range last year. I mean, that's how all of us would have reacted from our couches. So it's good to see that and make an example of him, because that kid's never going to do that again.
Right.
Yeah, so let's see what other questions we got here. We'll be on a few more minutes. Don't want to keep you guys too much. But again, appreciate you guys obviously for coming on. We got 100 in the chat right now. Please, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button.
Yeah.
Go over and hit subscribe for the UTalk channel if you don't already. I know you guys got a huge following already, but please.
Thank you, man. No, always. We appreciate it, man. We appreciate the
Yeah.
love. Thank you,
Yeah.
John.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So if there name one position that right now concerns you guys going into the fall, like, hey, or maybe not a position. There's this one thing. Maybe it's drops. Maybe it's penalties. That this keeps us, like, fill in the blank. This keeps us from winning the Coastal this year. What do you think it would be if hypothetically that happened? Devin,
go ahead, Frank. Oh, okay.
Go ahead, D.
I'm gonna say position, John. I gotta go back to wide receiver. I gotta see somebody that's gonna step out and take that load that Rambo had last year and turn that into production like Rambo was doing. I just didn't really see that on Saturday. Like I said, the only consistent guy that I saw was Restrepo at the wide receiver position. So I gotta see. I just want to see who's gonna be the guy. Who's gonna be the guy on the outside the numbers that's gonna be able to make those 50-50 catches like we seen Rambo doing. So I'm gonna say wide receiver position for me.
Yeah. Barry, what do you think?
I want to say linebacker, but in Charlie Strong, I trust. So even though this unit, I think, is improving as we speak, I'm still concerned, and that is the offensive line. The left side, I think we're going to be okay, but a lot of problems on the right side, a lot of questions on the right side. And just overall as a whole, we have to get our offensive line play better. If we're not able to establish and sustain blocks, nobody's running. I don't care who you get. You can bring Duke Johnson back here. Nobody's going to be able to do anything. And TVD won't have the time, to go through his reads and his progressions and do his thing. So, I'm wondering if, maybe that's part of the reason why Gaddis is going to incorporate a lot of two tight end sets, maybe to help, in the blocking scheme. Who knows? It could be, but that's my concern because they're getting better, but it's one thing when you're going up against your own teammates. I want to see what we look like in real live action against the enemies.
Yeah. Hayes put it perfectly down there at the bottom. Defensive end, the lack of edge rush is concerning for me.
Yeah,
because that we saw the drop off last year. In 2 first rounders and a 6th rounder. We've lost 3 NFL guys coming off the edge, and down to guys that are fighting to maybe play on Sundays, hopefully one day. You saw that difference, and that it gave the quarterback too much time to throw something. We saw it on 4th and 14, for example.
Yes.
If you had Jalen Phillips coming off the edge, maybe you could have just dropped everybody back, but that's not the case. That's not what we're have. So that's one area that scares me a bit. But you got Nigel Lee coming back. You got Mitchell Agude coming. They might add this kid Coleman. They might add another guy. I think they will add another guy after Agude. So, I think it's going to get fixed. My message, when I talk to other Canes fans, it's like, guys, it's going to take time. This year's not going to be perfect. It's going to be fun.
Right.
We'll win some games.
Right.
We're going to lose a few tough ones. But it's going to be a fun process. But let it happen. It's not a 1-year thing.
Preach.
Right.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think we'll stop it there. Again, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I'm a big fan of your guys' show, obviously. So, I appreciate you guys.
Likewise.
Yes,
chopping it up.
Appreciate it.
I'm sure, just like you guys, I can talk Canes football literally any day of the year. It doesn't matter what day it is. I can talk Canes football.
Well, you already know I'm scheduling you to come on the show, so we'll be talking. You already know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, man, let me know. But please let everybody know really quick where and when they can find you guys, what platform. I know you guys are everywhere, but let them know.
We're on podcast Spotify. We're on. You can check us out at UTalkSportsShow.com. You click on YouTube. You can Google us at UTalk Sports Show. Right now, we're going every 2 weeks. As it get a little bit closer, we'll be doing the 2 shows a week. So we'll keep you guys informed on what's going on with that. Also, don't forget if you're gonna be in Atlanta on November the 11th for the Miami versus Georgia Tech game.
I may be there.
We're gonna. Okay, well, you already know you're gonna be with us,
Yeah,
so
yeah, you'll
you'll be able to
be
stay with us.
on the panel with
Definitely,
us.
yes, sir. So it's the UTalk Hurricane Bash over on Eventbrite. You can go and get your tickets from there. We're gonna have special guests. It's gonna be fun. Drinks, food. So definitely, if you guys are in the city on November 11th, come out and party with us, man. So we just gonna have a good time, and we want to meet everybody. So love you guys again. Thank you for having us on. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Oh, Mark Stamper says you gotta say your little your slogan.
Fuck, you already know what it is, baby. John, you with me, John? You with me tonight, John?
Let's do it.
Y'all know how we start every show that we own, and y'all know how we end every show that we're on. It ain't no us without you, baby.
Without you,
And we
baby.
out. Salute
All
to
right.
John, Cafe Cito, and Canes. Thank you. We love you guys. John, I'll be in touch.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Thanks, guys, for
Appreciate you.
coming
All
on.
right.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
All right. You guys take care.
All right. Are you guys still with me? I apologize. Having trouble ending the broadcast. All right. Thank you guys for coming on if you're still listening. Yeah, great show. Thank you guys for listening. Still got 91 in the chat. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so. And yeah, let's see. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Man,